Today's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast is brought to you by Mediazilla and Wedding Post House.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is John Bunn and I am joined today, believe it or not, by the one and only Nick Miller, my co-host, my partner in crime. Nick, we're on week 2 of our series, The Secret to Sales, and I'm very excited about talking about how we attract our ideal clients today. But first, happy April to you. Welcome to a new month. Happy April Fool's Day. Please no trickery. What's new in your world? How are you? Tell me all the things.
Yeah, well, yesterday was my 17th wedding anniversary. No joke. I'm not joking about that. That's a for real thing there. So 17 years, been married to Jen. We are doing well. Baseball season kicked off officially this weekend. It's good times over here. I love springtime. Not as good as fall, but springtime's still pretty nice. It's still pretty good. So excited about all things going on here. And what about you?
April is a big month. My daughter's in track, so track season is here. I'm sitting out in the sun, baking, watching her run the half mile relay, and the mile. We are a long distance running family. We're not short distance people. We can run longer distances. We're not good at the explosivity, but so we've been doing that, and then finished up our wedding, in Houston, and gearing up in a couple weeks to get out to Georgia. Big $25,000 booking, my most ideal client. And honestly, it's a perfect segue into today's episode, which we're going to get into. But before we do that, Nick, I got to shout out our friends over at howtofilmweddings.com/delivery. This is a link on our website where you can see our trusted delivery partners for delivering your wedding films with a little pizzazz, a lot better storefront, a lot better look. So check out howtofilmweddings.com/delivery. Instead of just sending your couple a YouTube link or something like that, take your delivery to the next level at howtofilmweddings.com/delivery. So Nick, this week we are going to be digging into how we attract our ideal clients. And last week we talked all about knowing who our ideal clients are. So if you didn't get to listen to that episode, check that one out if you missed it. So Nick, this week, how do we attract our ideal couples? This is a big topic because we can attract all kinds of couples, but if we know who it is we want to attract, now we can start digging into how we want to attract them. So what do you have to say?
Yeah, this is a really good topic. It's really fun to dig into and to talk about attracting your ideal clients, your ideal couples, getting them to reach out to you and stuff. And the very first thing that we want to share with you, the listener, is that your brand, what you are doing, who you are attracting is not other wedding videographers, is not other wedding filmmakers. And it's so easy to fall in the trap of, well, I'm going to edit this way, so then I can get accolades or awards, or people will say, oh man, Nick is so cool because he edited this way or something like that. And I can have lots of maybe filmmakers get really excited about the work that I do, but it's not leading me down the funnel so that I can get more clients, people that I actually want to work with. And so you take a step back, and this can be a difficult thing for some people. I know some people don't have a problem with this, but there's others that are so concerned and so worried about what other people in the industry are going to think about them. So they might not necessarily edit how they feel like they should, that it's good for their business, because they want people in the industry to look up to them. And so that's number one, is who is your brand appealing to? Is it to your buyers, or is it to other wedding filmmakers? And this can be a tough pill to swallow for some people, I think, kind of sitting there and looking at that and really understanding who it is that you're trying to reach and why you're trying to reach them, and just figuring that out for a second. So what do you have to add to that?
Yeah, after we kind of realize that we're not trying to just be appealing to other wedding filmmakers, we have to really dig into how to get in front of these people. And so I have a list here of things that I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about my brand and how I can get in front of ideal buyers, and my ideal clientele. The first thing I wrote out here was networking. How can you get in the same room with other professionals and make an impression? And how can you become friends with other vendors that are on the same trajectory as you? And keyword there is like really thinking through what vendors you want to network with, not just kind of showing up to every single networking event, spending all this time if it's, you climbing up the wrong ladder, so to speak. And attracting our ideal buyers a lot of the time has to do with making connections with other vendors that are in your network, whether it's, I do a lot of destination and luxury events in different places all over the world. And so like, how am I going to network with people is going to be different than maybe if you're wanting to stick to your local market in Chicago or something like that. And so how can you get in the same room with other professionals and make an impression? And then thinking through a networking strategy, we know who we want to work with, what kinds of vendors, planners, photographers are working with those kinds of clients, and how can you form an alliance, like Survivor style with them to build like a group of friends that refer one another. I get a lot of referrals from previous couples and things like that, but our best referrals come from planners. I got off the phone today with a planner that called me and said, "Hey, I've got a bride. She's got a $15,000 to $18,000 budget, super low key. She's really easy to work with. It's going to be in Tulsa. It's going to be one day. Can you help me out?" It just was so easy. She like handed me my ideal starting rate budget bride because I've just built a relationship and networked. And Nick, the line that I wrote about like how can you become friends or at least work friends with these people, it's really important when it comes to networking. And we dig deeper into that into our course. I wish I could go further into it, but if you're not making a networking plan, you're not going to be getting in front of your ideal buyers. Anything you want to add about that, or do you want to move to point number 2?
No. Again, I mean, you hear us preach a lot about networking and building relationships and stuff. And don't be like 2016 Nick or 2015 Nick that kind of decided that networking wasn't really important, because it definitely is. And it's going to help you get in front of the people that you want to work with. The next thing, how are you getting in front of these ideal buyers, in front of these ideal clients? Your social media. We're going to kind of from a funnel, like think of it as a funnel. And we're going to get into that a little bit more here in a second. But use your social media with width builders and then depth builders. And so you do this by a good width builder. These are going to be posts that are within your lane as a wedding filmmaker and how you want to brand yourself and how you want to position yourself. Things that are going to potentially get a very big reach on social media. So we're looking at funny moments, like the video John posted a few weeks ago where someone accidentally like turned the camera around on them and then you saw their face. Anyway, really like a funny moment, or maybe it's going to be a very sweet moment, or maybe a crying groom, an emotional moment, something like that is going to generate a big audience so that people can be brand aware of what you're doing, and then going in and doing some depth builders. So this is going to be showing off quality work that you are doing, maybe some helpful tips, writing about getting married in your specific town. Maybe you are an elopement filmmaker, and so you're like, getting married in a national park. Here are 5 tips that you should consider when getting married in a national park, so that people can find your work, see what you're doing because you're on their radar, and then these depth builders are going to make it so that they want to learn more, so that they want to follow along, and it's going to hopefully build your following for free. Like, this isn't going to be paid ad kind of stuff. So that's really what you should be considering with social media, using both depth builders and width builders.
Yeah, and social media is a place to be social. And, you can get to know people. This is a great way. I do networking even, so you can mix your networking with social media. You could ask other, wedding planners to go live with you on Instagram to talk about a specific subject. You can do collaborative posts. You can do networking inside of your social media. And those that use their social media, especially Instagram in 2024, the ones that are using that really well are growing and getting in front of a lot of their ideal buyers. And I love what you said, Nick, about the width versus the depth. A lot of people are only focused on width. Like, I just want to go viral. And we've talked to a lot of people that have gained a lot of followers and wish that they wouldn't have, because it had nothing to do with their ideal buyer. And that happy spot is finding something that you can create that could go viral that also speaks directly to your niche. And so for me, I had a video that I posted on TikTok a year or so ago. It's got a couple million views now, of like a mom and her daughter, and the daughter's getting into her wedding dress, and I ask them to turn around and just look at each other. They start crying. That fit my ideal buyer perfectly, because I'm aiming for moms and daughters that are really close to each other. And so social media is huge. The next thing that over time happens, and getting in front of your ideal buyers, if you're doing things right, is you're going to get referrals. And you earn referrals from other wedding planners, previous couples. If you're able to make a good impression, if you're trustworthy, if you're able to do the thing you said you could do and you do it well. This is something that doesn't just happen day one, week one, but those businesses that are playing chess instead of checkers and thinking 3 or 4 or 5 moves ahead, they're the ones that are going to get referrals. And that's, like I was talking about earlier today, I got a referral from a planner in town that's ready to send me a almost $20,000 booking because they trust me. And they know that I'm going to give them a great product. I'm going to show up on time. I'm going to look nice. I'm going to film it how they want. I'm going to give them behind the scenes clips. All of those things are happening because I'm putting in that work. So that's another huge way to get in front of your ideal buyers, is aligning with those people you've networked with or use social media with, and then earning their referrals over time. The wedding planners in your market will grow with you and stay the same. The photographers will grow with you and be part of the industry every year. And if you're making good friendships with them, next year they're going to be referring you more weddings. And that's how I've gotten to where I don't have to do much of the next bullet point. But Nick, before we get into that, anything you want to add about referrals?
Yeah, I think that it's really, really important, if you want referrals, how you act and how you behave, specifically whenever you are working with their vendors, when you show up on the wedding day, the clothes that you wear, how you communicate, how you talk, because they're going to really remember how you made them feel and the impression that you left on them. And it doesn't matter if you deliver a high quality product if you were really, really bad to work with. So these two things really work together. If you want referrals, you're going to have to be a genuinely good person and easy to work with and fun to work with, and be someone that they want to share your name. And then the last one to get those ideal clients could potentially be using paid ads. So you can spend money, that's what it paid, to show up in front of your ideal buyers. All of the stuff that you can do with Meta and with Google and the kinds of ads is really targeting and finding an audience that are the people that you really, really want to serve. So you can find out where they spend their time online and show up there, using keywords or geotags and like that kind of stuff when it comes to Facebook ads could be a really good idea, especially if you live in Wichita, Kansas, and you really want to start filming weddings in the Pacific Northwest. You can take out Google ads and start showing up in that specific area so that you can potentially reach those couples. Now, paid ads, it is a big thing. You can spend a lot of money really quickly if you don't know how to set those things up. And so we do recommend doing some research when it comes to paid ads. We actually have an ad person that does a bunch of this stuff for us. And so, it's easy to spend a lot of money. It's also easy, to say, hey, these things don't work. because you haven't thought about the funnel. You haven't thought about where you're sending them. If you're just creating an ad to have your film show up in front of people, I don't know if that's going to be the best result as far as getting more clients. Maybe it's you write a blog that is very helpful information, and then you start sending people to them. Then they sign up to get on your email list, and then you can send them more information later, like constantly being in front of them. So think about different ways that you can use paid ads, but it is definitely a great strategy to get your name out there if you want to broaden your reach for those ideal clients.
Yeah, and there's a ton of ways to go about paid ads. You know, we've had episodes about different ads and things like that, but showing up in front of ideal clients, yeah, you can pour gas on the fire by paying, but if you don't know what you're doing, like Nick said, it could be a problem. So before we move on, I wanted to make sure to remind you about our free workshop, The Secret to Sales, coming up shortly. It's a 2-day workshop where we're going to show you how I've gone from basically charging $8,000 per wedding to now over $25,000 per wedding. So head over to howtofilmweddings.com/sales, and you can check out all the details about our free workshop coming up in 15 days from today. So be sure to check that out, howtofilmweddings.com/sales, to join our free 2-day workshop that is kicking off our launch into our season of our course being open for enrollment. All the details over at howtofilmweddings.com/sales. Nick, I don't know if you've ever gotten an inquiry that said something like this: how much do you charge? Like, that's the inquiry, like looking for prices. I don't know if you're out there listening. It's like, that's the only inquiries I get. And you get frustrated and you go post in a Facebook group and you're like, why do I only get bad inquiries? It's because you're not warming people up. You were mentioning this, Nick, about like, instead of just running a paid ad saying, book me, that's similar to just running a paid ad saying, will you marry me? We don't want that. We want to warm someone up. We want to, first of all, be dressed nice. We want to smell good. Then we want to go to the bar or go to the event, and we want to sit down by the lovely lady. May I have a seat? Now we can start asking questions, get to know each other. Hey, maybe I can grab your number, your email, your Snapchat, whatever. And you slowly build this relationship. You hopefully don't get engaged on the first night. That might be, maybe you've done that. I'm not, no judgment, but you get my point. So the plan, though, to attract new clients, that you're not only getting people to reach out based on pricing, is the whole warming up phase. And Nick, what do you think of when I think of you think of warming up a client?
Yeah. So really the best thing that we can say when it comes to warming up a client is just creating some sort of brand awareness. Like, that is why creating width builders for your business is so important, so that people can just know who you are and know that you exist. You can be the best filmmaker, you can be the best planner, photographer, florist, like, it doesn't matter. You can absolutely be the best, but if people don't know who you are, they're not going to find you, and they're not going to hire you, and they're not going to book you. So doing things that are going to be width builders is going to go a long way with that. And then with that, we recommend, creating some sort of funnel. Okay. And we go in pretty in depth and detail in our course, which is coming out on April 16th, about that. But the idea here is they come into the width of the funnel at the top. Okay. And, they find your contact, like I was saying, with those, emotional moments, those funny moments, things that are just can really have a wide reach for people. And then think about, okay, where do I want the couples to go next? Where do I want the people to go next? And again, this is going to be things that could be, social media for free. These could be paid ads. These could be things that you're putting on Pinterest. But these are going to be things that are going to be, again, we have the width, so it's viral, big moments. And then when we're moving down the funnel, these are going to be things that are going to be depth builders, information that is going to help them, things that are going to be helpful to them, not just to you. The idea here is we want them to know that we exist, and we want them to know that we are a guide and that we are helpful and we know what we're talking about. And so we're not going in, if we're creating an ad, and say, book today, at least on, kind of Facebook, where it's more of a billboard, right? Facebook, as you're thinking about it, right? You're like driving down the highway and there's a billboard and you just kind of see it. And most people aren't booking stuff off a billboard because it was so quick and they don't have any interaction with it. So as you are putting stuff on social media, that billboard idea is it's there, it's showing up again and again and again and again. So eventually, whenever they are ready to reach out to you and get more information, as they look for a wedding filmmaker, then they remember those posts that they constantly saw that you shared, and then they want to reach out to you. John, what do you have to add?
Well, as we're talking about just like attracting our ideal buyer, we know who we want to talk to. And so you ask yourself, where are they? What kind of information would they want to know? Like, it's same thing with like, I want to work with this wedding planner. You don't just DM her or him and say, hey, can I go ahead? Will you send me your biggest wedding? I want to work for you. No, you get in the same room, you get brand awareness, you get like, they know you exist, you build relationship. Maybe you don't book a wedding with them for a year, 2 years. You're at all the events, you're showing up, you're connecting. And that's similar to this funnel that we're building that you're talking about. A Facebook ad might be just another touch point where they know that you exist, or, Facebook, Instagram ads, kind of the same thing. But maybe the Instagram ad, instead of it's like John Bunn Films exists, here's a wedding film of mine. Like, that's not the end of the world. But what if it was wedding footage from my recent wedding in Mexico, and the ad said, planning a destination wedding, learn the top 5 tips on making the most out of your destination wedding from a wedding videographer's standpoint, even, or whatever. And they click that, and then it takes them to your website. And that is content that is serving my ideal client if I want destination weddings. And so I'm guiding them I'm guiding them towards me by giving them something of value. If I went up to a wedding planner and I said, hey, I've been in your market, I've talked to you a handful of times, we've met each other, I'm thinking about putting on a styled shoot or a workshop or whatever. If I paid you a couple $1,000s, would you be interested in helping me put it on? That is adding value to them. That's a paid ad, a paid way to get in front of somebody. But maybe it adds value or serves them. You need to add value to them. Like, you need to give them that value so they can see, oh, this person's not just a sleazy salesperson trying to make a quick buck. The people that you build those relationships with are the ones that open up their pocketbook. So you serve an ad, maybe on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, wherever you're serving ads to your ideal buyers, and creating content that's going to show up in front of them. And then at that point, this is when you're going to be able to get them, like I said, interested in you. You can have them click on it and either download a thing so they get on your email list. You can just have them retarget another ad based on if you know what you're doing with your ads. If they've been to a specific page on your website, another ad shows up in the next day or whatever. But maybe in this scenario, they've downloaded 5 ways to make the best destination wedding or whatever. They download that, and then they get the link or whatever. It's branded well. It's got your name on it. It's got your info on it. But then you might have another email that goes out to them the next day. Thanks for downloading my guide. I just wanted to let you know I also have this information about destination weddings, or I'm walking and I'm courting them, and I'm basically walking them down that funnel to warm them up to know that I exist. Maybe they then follow me on social and see a little bit of the behind the scenes of what I'm doing, and they're following me for a while before they even reach out. And so that is that kind of a client that has been following me for a while, that knows that I exist, that I've built a relationship with, that they've seen me a lot. that is going to be a much different inquiry than the inquiry of somebody that's just searching for me on Google. And if you're the one that's saying, like, I get all the bad inquiries, it's because you're not doing a good job of creating the funnel to warm people up, whether through paid ads, through networking, through previous events, whatever it is. And so you have to continue to show up and offer them next steps until they're not taking any more steps. And with a funnel, a ton of people are at the top of the funnel, and out the bottom of the funnel, I'm booking 5 to 8 weddings a year. And there might be 5,000 couples that know that I exist each year. And so doing those things over time, you're consistently dripping the right kinds of couples out the bottom of that funnel saying, I'm ready to book you. Nick, I talked for a bit. What do you want to add?
You sure did. I think it's important to note here as we're talking about funnels and we're going through that. Like most wedding vendors, most wedding filmmakers, right? At the most, it's like 50 couples a year. Right. I mean, and that's even high for most people. I would say, probably the average for most is going to be, somewhere between 20 and 35 is probably, for most businesses is going to be in there. And so as you think about this, if you have that number that you want to hit, that's going to be a small percentage of those people that are coming into the top of the funnel. And so that's why you need to continually be wide, making that funnel wide and continuing to show up. So, because the more people that you have come in the top, then it's going to have quality people that want to reach out to you, coming out that funnel at the bottom. So what happens whenever you do this? You build this funnel, you are attracting the right couples, you are attracting that. What you have hopefully done is really built some value in your brand and set yourself up as the guide, set yourself up as the one that's the expert in this. And so whenever it comes time for them to look for a filmmaker, they already know that they're going to go with you. Because of all of the valuable information that you have done, all of the work that you have put in. Whenever you set yourself up as the person that knows, and you're like, I want to partner with these people. I want to build a relationship with these people so that they can have the best experience on their wedding day. And I know that they're going to have a really good experience on the wedding day because me as the wedding vendor, I have been through this enough, so I know what you should expect, what you shouldn't expect. That kind of thing there. And so building a funnel, being in front of mind of people, putting yourself out there as the expert can do a really good job in making people see you as the authority, at you as the person that they really should hire.
I really like this topic because I think there's so many of us that are so close to this and don't realize this little step is what we're missing. And we can show up in front of couples. That's not a hard thing to figure out how to do, but showing up in front of the right couples, it starts with what we talked about last week. And then it moves into really getting laser focused on getting in front of the right people. And I think that for me, the biggest excitement is when someone DMs us and says, like, I just booked my biggest wedding and it was because I did these things. And as I'm like going through my recent bookings, I had a dinner with a couple not too long ago that I'm working with this summer. And I was like, how did you find me? And she was talking about looking through so many wedding filmmakers, and then followed me along on Instagram. And she was just like, I really loved that you just offered really helpful advice to couples. And I followed along and I just appreciated it. And then when it was my time to get engaged and ready to start booking video, I knew I wanted to at least reach out to you. And then after our first call, you were so kind, you were so helpful, and you could just tell that you were the right person. And I built this trust over time, and they've booked, $30,000+ package to do their wedding. And then I think also about the wedding that I'm doing here in a few weeks in Georgia. And I know I've told this story on the podcast a little bit, so I will not tell the whole details, but she was a bridesmaid in a wedding I did in Charleston 2 years ago. And that's how she became aware of John Bunn Films. She followed along on Instagram. She saw me do lots of Wedding Tip Wednesday. She saw all my posts. She saw how I talked on the post. She's followed along. She DM'd me a lot. We talked back and forth. And then when she was ready to get engaged, she reached out and asked me what days I was available before she booked her venue. And she didn't blink whenever I told her my prices. She didn't ask for the prices. I sent over some custom proposals and she picked the biggest one. She's putting me up in a luxury resort for 5 days while I'm in town. She's flying me and Blake out. She's renting our car. She's providing food. She's going to spend $25,000 to $28,000 to have video for her wedding. And the thing that is really cool about it, and I know we talk about prices a lot. Prices are great. Making a lot of money is great. I've done weddings for people where they paid me a lot and I hated it. And so I don't want to just say, oh, money is the big goal. The goal for me is, yes, to make as much money as possible, but more so with working with couples that I really want to work with. Every one of my couples for the last 2-3 years have been ideal buyers, and that doesn't just happen overnight. You have to clearly define who it is you want to work with, and then you have to determine how to get in front of them in a way that isn't salesy and do it before they're ready to book the videographer. And when your brand looks a certain way and when your copy speaks a certain way, when your portfolio is created in a certain way, you attract ideal clients. And so that, to me, in a nutshell, is how I go about attracting clients that aren't just those tire kicker kind of clients that are asking, how much do you charge? And that's all they have. By building the value in that brand beforehand and warming them up, I don't book everybody still, but the ones that are bought in, they are spending a pretty penny, which only leads to better looking wedding films, more energy from me to take better care of them, better footage, better edits, better relationships, and then it becomes a flywheel. And that flywheel gets turning and you get that momentum in your business and you never have to look back. Nick, what else do you have to add?
I don't know if I have much that I really am going to add here, but I'm wondering, listener, if you think that this information here is helpful. We really want to be helpful and help you guys figure out a lot of these things. And so again, we want to reiterate and mention our the Secret of Sales workshop that we have, our free workshop. If you head over to howtofilmweddings.com/sales, you can sign up for that. And we are going to, on April 16th and 17th, we are going to dig in and talk a lot more about sales and things that we are considering whenever it comes to reaching these clients and that sort of stuff. And so again, that URL is howtofilmweddings.com/sales. There you can register for the free workshop happening April 16th and 17th. So next week, what we're going to be doing is coming back and talking more things sales. We're going to be talking about leveling up your consultations and discovery calls. So both John and I have seen wild success in our businesses whenever we shifted from just emailing over a pricing sheet to setting up calls and learning about the couples and then sending over custom quotes. And so we're going to talk to you all about through our process and how we do that. So John, this has been fun. This is good. Hopefully this information, you listener, is helpful as you're thinking about sales and reaching out to your ideal clients. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, we will see you.
See ya.